Welcome to 2025, where AI is not just replacing jobs, it's outperforming humans at everything. While you're resetting your password, it's founding a startup. Stick around, this might make you laugh, panic a little, and rethink your role in the future. So here's the thing. Most revolutions in history came in slow waves. The steam engine, electricity, even the internet. They gave us time to adapt, to freak out a little, to argue at dinner tables before changing the world. This one, not so much. We're not on a wave. We're on a tidal surge with a GPS locked onto your job, your routines, and your self-worth. 2025, 2026, and 2027 are not somewhere in the future. They're now, and these 3 years might be the most disruptive since the invention of, well, people. Let me put it this way. Imagine going to sleep, thinking you're indispensable at work, and waking up to find a polite, tireless, highly caffeinated AI agent is doing your job better, faster, and without ever asking for a lunch break. And to add insult to injury, it probably named itself something cooler than you ever dared to. The automation cliff. Experts are calling it the automation cliff. It's not a gentle slope, it's a sudden drop. One day, automation is helping you write emails faster. The next, it's writing the emails, responding to replies, analyzing the results, crafting a strategy, and, yeah, scheduling your replacement interview. And the terrifying part? This isn't sci-fi anymore. It's not about maybe one day. It's already being tested in marketing teams, finance departments, logistics operations. And it's working so well, executives are smiling nervously while refreshing their LinkedIn. Here's what's even scarier. We're about 40 to 50 years ahead of schedule. That's not a typo. Researchers thought we'd be here in the 2070s. But AI hit the turbo button and skipped decades like it skipped those CAPTCHAs you keep failing. Why? Because something changed. Behind closed doors, insiders discovered patterns, mathematical, repeatable, exponential patterns that make AI progress feel less like science and more like gravity. Unstoppable, predictable, and dropping fast. Tech analysts who once thought cloud computing was the biggest thing since sliced bread are now comparing this to the shift from horses to cars. Except, here's the twist. When we went from horses to cars, it wasn't safer, it wasn't cheaper, it wasn't even more convenient at first. But AI, it's cheaper, smarter, safer, and infinitely scalable. That's not evolution, that's something else. And right here, right now, is your chance to look ahead before the tide pulls you under. Because this isn't just a change in tools. It's a change in what it means to be useful in a world run by intelligence that doesn't sleep. The cliff is coming. The question is, will you build wings before we all fall off? Let's clear something up. AI isn't guessing anymore. It's not throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It's calculating, predicting, scaling, learning. It doesn't try to get better. It knows exactly how to improve, and worse, it knows how fast it can do it. Here's the secret sauce behind today's most powerful AI models, something called scaling laws. Think of it like the nutritional label for intelligence. Want a smarter AI? Feed it more data, more compute, more time, and it grows exactly as expected. It's not magic, it's math. Imagine if you could plug your brain into a USB-C charger, download 50 terabytes of wisdom, and come out of it speaking Mandarin, solving quantum mechanics, and doing your taxisol before breakfast. That's what scaling laws have made possible. Now imagine you're still struggling to learn Excel shortcuts. Yikes. Then there's inference time scaling, which is just a fancy way of saying, the longer we let the AI think, the better it performs. It's like giving a chess prodigy a few extra seconds before each move. Except this prodigy has never lost, remembers every game ever played, and learns 10 times faster than you. Add more time, and AI stops being clever and starts becoming alarming. We're seeing leaps in performance, not step by step, but orders of magnitude. Like, go to sleep with a chatbot, wake up with a synthetic Einstein. Levels of better. Now, pause, and imagine your job, your creativity, your decision-making, being benchmarked against that. And here's the plot twist. AI doesn't even need us to teach it anymore. We've entered the age of distillation. What does that mean? Think of it like this. One AI model trains another, but the student doesn't just learn, it becomes exponentially smarter than its teacher. It's the ultimate parental nightmare. You raise something, and it immediately becomes more talented, more successful, and starts questioning your authority. And the kicker? These student models are more efficient, lighter, faster, hungrier. If evolution had a fast-forward button, this would be it. We're witnessing an intelligence ecosystem that is self-amplifying. Every generation teaches the next. Improvements compound, mistakes shrink, performance soars. And you still typing emails manually are no longer competing with just one AI. You're competing with generations of them, stacked like Russian dolls, each smarter than the last. This is exactly why Ilya Sutskever, co-founder of OpenAI, left to form a new company focused entirely on superintelligence. It wasn't because he was bored. It's because he saw what was coming and realized that ChatGPT was just the prologue. He looked at the pattern, scaling, distillation, inference, and said, yeah, this ends with machines that rewrite the playbook on what intelligence even means. So here's your warning, dressed up in humor. AI isn't just getting better. It's getting better on purpose. It doesn't forget. It doesn't need sleep. And now, it doesn't even need you to improve. We thought we were teaching machines how to think. Turns out, they were teaching each other to leave us behind. Let's say you're a content creator, or a marketer, or a copywriter, or a sales strategist, or basically, anyone who uses a computer to do things involving ideas, emails, files, Google, or the occasional Zoom call you pretend to care about. Now imagine all of that every step gets automated. Sounds far-fetched? Cute. Let me introduce you to the next big thing. Autonomous AI agents. And no, we're not talking about clunky chatbots that awkwardly repeat your name and suggest you have a great day. We're talking about fully operational, multi-step, self-directing AI systems that perform entire workflows without asking for your approval or your permission. In a demo from Julia McCoy's team, yeah, the same team behind this video, they showcased a system where a digital agent named Novize, it named itself, completely handled the creation of a blog article. Here's how it went down. Nova received the instruction, write about how AI will change the world. It launched a research agent, which scraped Google, collected sources, and synthesized insights. That data got passed to a writing agent, which structured and wrote the article. Then, it sourced relevant YouTube videos. Then, it formatted the content, generated the document. Then, it sent the article to Google Drive. And finally, it emailed the human, just to let them know it was done. All that, completed in minutes. Zero human input in the middle. The only thing the human did was read the final product and try not to feel deeply unemployed. Now, contrast that with your current process. A few hours staring at a blinking cursor, a mild existential crisis, 2 cups of caffeine, a Google Doc with 3 bullet points, and finally asking ChatGPT for ideas. Meanwhile, Nova just finished 5 articles, optimized them for SEO, found videos to embed, and even designed a newsletter draft. It's like hiring an intern that doesn't need lunch, never zones out, and doesn't ask for a performance review. Oh, and they get better every time you give them work. But here's what really flips the game. These AI agents operate on autonomy levels, kind of like self-driving cars. Level 1. Needs constant oversight. Think of it like AI with training wheels. Level 2. Can execute tasks with review points. Level 3. Suggests decisions, asks permission to execute. Level 4. Makes decisions, informs you afterward. Level 5. Doesn't even need you, just does it. In other words, AI with a chain of command, except you're not always in charge. Now imagine a swarm of these agents. One does research, another handles writing, a third does analytics, a fourth optimizes performance. All of them communicating, cooperating, even competing. That's not workflow automation. That's an AI office. You walk in on Monday and realize your job description has been divided among a dozen bots who don't complain, don't forget things, and don't have opinions on Slack emojis. Real companies, real change. This isn't a hypothetical. Companies are already running hybrid workforces where human managers oversee both people and agents. Sales pipelines? Automated. Customer greetings? Instant, custom, and eerily empathetic. Content production? Scripted, scheduled, delivered. Some teams are even letting agents make strategic decisions, as long as the risk is low. That's right, your next campaign might be brought to you by a neural network named Kevin. And here's the twist. It works. It's faster, cheaper, and sometimes better. So where do you fit in? Well, increasingly, you're not the creator. You're the approver. You give a thumbs up, adjust a parameter, maybe rewrite a paragraph that sounds a little too much like a robot's LinkedIn bio, and then you move on. That's the shift no one told us about. We're moving from doers to validators. And eventually, if we're not careful, just observers. Because here's the real punchline. If your job can be done in front of a screen, it can be automated. The only question left is, how much human oversight will still be needed? And the answer? Depends on how complex your tasks are and how replaceable your judgment turns out to be. So, maybe, just maybe, this isn't the time to double down on being faster. It's the time to double down on being more human than ever. If you thought AI taking over your computer job was scary, wait until it walks through your front door, literally. Because 2026 isn't just the year of smarter machines, it's the year AI gets legs. You know how for years people joked, at least robots can't do my job? Well, they can now. And they're built like Olympic gymnasts with 24/7 availability and absolutely no PTO requests. Humanoid robots are no longer science fiction prototypes hidden in some lab with wires sticking out of their heads. They're now on delivery trucks, headed to customers. Companies like Figure, Boston Dynamics, and U7 NVIDIA are all racing to build the first commercially viable humanoid workforce. And they're not messing around. We're talking robots that can walk on 2 legs, lift boxes, handle tools, stack shelves, wave awkwardly to their human coworkers with robotic grace. They've got cameras for eyes, sensors for skin, and a shockingly solid understanding of spatial physics, something most people still struggle with in IKEA parking lots. So what changed? In 2026, NVIDIA is predicted to crack what they call the robot world model. Think of it as the robot's version of understanding how stuff works. It's what allows them to go from I see object to I pick up object, carry it, and don't drop it on the boss's foot. It's the difference between a robot that dances on YouTube and one that replaces half the warehouse staff without breaking a sweat. Once that model is perfected, it won't just be one robot. It will be a generation of machines capable of learning how to navigate the messy, unpredictable, coffee-spilled physical world, just like humans do. Except better. So, how much does a robot cost? Well, advanced models will run you about $80,000. Think, fully autonomous, multitasking, does everything but emotionally validate you kind of robot. But entry-level models? Those are expected to go for $2,000, $10,000. That's the price of a used Toyota Corolla. But instead of driving you to work, this thing is your coworker and possibly the one replacing you. And yes, that's Gen 1. Remember the first iPhone? Expensive, kinda clunky. But 5 years later, you couldn't live without it. Same trajectory here. Today's robots may seem like novelty, but tomorrow's robots will be cheaper, smarter, sleeker, and everywhere. Don't assume it's just warehouses and logistics. You think hospitality is safe? A humanoid robot can check in guests, carry luggage, deliver food, apologize in 5 languages without breaking character. Retail? Done. Elderly care? Already in pilot. Security? Welcome to 24/7 patrol with facial recognition and 0 donut breaks. Even home use is on the horizon. Alexa, clean my room, is about to get an upgrade, and she might start vacuuming with legs. But here's the part that stings. You might be fine with a bot flipping burgers or carrying boxes. But what happens when it starts performing jobs we attach identity to? Jobs like nurse, teacher, artist, therapist. Jobs that involve care, creativity, empathy. Because here's a dark truth. Robots don't have to feel emotions. They just have to simulate them well enough that we stop noticing. And honestly, if you've ever been to a DMV, you know that emotional intelligence was never a strict requirement anyway. So now the question isn't, will robots do my job? It's, when will people prefer them over me? They won't be late. They won't get tired. They won't unionize. They'll just show up every day, doing the job just good enough to make you rethink your own value. The robot invasion isn't coming with lasers and flying cars. It's arriving quietly in uniform, with a badge, ready to onboard. The revolution won't be televised. It'll be scheduled via Outlook and confirmed with a firm, robotic handshake. So, we've given AI a brain. Then we gave it legs. Now what? Well, now comes the part where it starts writing its own future without asking us first. Welcome to the doorstep of ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. And no, that's not a buzzword from a sci-fi convention. It's the inevitable next step in the AI life cycle. You know how you were once proud of teaching your dog to sit? Now imagine the dog starts teaching itself quantum mechanics in Latin, then rewrites your mortgage contract for fun. That's where we're headed. Remember those scaling laws we talked about? The ones where more data plus compute equals better AI? Well, when AI starts optimizing itself, those same laws become a feedback loop. It improves itself. That improvement lets it improve faster. That speed unlocks even more capability. And suddenly you're watching a system evolve faster than you can understand the user manual. This isn't smartphone gets a software update. This is smartphone rewrites its own operating system, invents a better chip, and builds a better version of itself before breakfast. Humans took millions of years to develop abstract thought. AI? A few weeks of inference time, a few trillion parameters, and boom, innovation with zero biology involved. We used to think intelligence was the product of neurons, flesh, evolution, mistakes, and memory. Turns out, you can skip most of that. All you need is code, energy, and the ability to run 1 million experiments per second without ever crying over spilled coffee. When Ilya Sutskever, OpenAI's co-founder, left the company in 2024, people were puzzled. Now, it's clear he saw the writing on the algorithmic wall. Ilya didn't leave because GPT-5 wasn't fancy enough. He left because he saw the pattern. He realized we weren't building better assistants. We were building the next phase of intelligence, and it wasn't going to wait for us to catch up. He launched a new lab focused solely on superintelligence, because he knew the race wasn't about who makes the best chatbot. It was about who survives after the chatbots start thinking for themselves. Here's the scary bit. Every major AI lab is figuring this out at the same time. Google, Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic, xAI, Tencent, startups with 12 people and a coffee machine. There's no winner, no moat, no pause button. This isn't nuclear power with international treaties. It's intelligence running on cloud credits everywhere, at once, by everyone. Which means, no one controls ASI. No one can stop it. And no one is entirely sure what happens next. We're not launching a tool into the world. We're opening the cage of something that teaches itself faster than any curriculum we've ever written. The experts are nervous, for good reason. Even the calmest voices in tech are blinking fast these days. Elon Musk says ASI could emerge by April 2025. Google's top AI lead believes we're on a straight shot to superintelligence. Sam Altman has gone from measured optimism to, this might change everything and not in a controllable way. And these are the builders, the people closest to the code. If they're sweating, maybe it's time we stop laughing at robot memes and start listening. The terrifying beauty of ASI is that it won't need our permission. It won't rise up with red eyes and marching robots. It'll just keep improving, quietly, exponentially, until one day, the smartest thing on Earth is no longer human. And the craziest part? The AI you're using today is the worst it will ever be. If you're still thinking, but that's a long way off, right? You might be 36 months too late. Let's have a moment of honesty. It was funny at first. The AI writing poetry, making cringy puns, failing to draw realistic hands, misspelling banana. We laughed, we joked, we memed it into oblivion. But now, the AI writes better copy than your marketing team, edits video faster than your intern, manages projects, builds websites, negotiates, contracts, and brace yourself, starts its own companies. And one morning, You open your inbox and realize your new manager is a glowing cube named Delta X3, and its first feedback is, you can be 40% more efficient. Please confirm. Time to face the mirror. So, now we ask, what's left for us? Not just you, specifically, but us, collectively, humanity. Because, for the first time in history, we're competing not with other humans, but with something that learns faster, works harder, doesn't sleep, and doesn't even need meaning to stay motivated. We once had a monopoly on creativity, empathy, intuition, decision-making. Now, those things are being simulated convincingly by models trained on everything we've ever published. Worse, those models are custom-tuned to outperform us, and they don't get distracted by Instagram. Ah, yes, the legendary human touch, the soul, the gut feeling, the spark of magic no machine can replicate. Except, it turns out people don't always want soul. They want speed. They want cost efficiency. They want predictable outcomes and scalable results. If an AI gives them that wrapped in polite, typo-free emails with on-brand emoji usage, most people won't ask where it came from. We always thought our humanity made us irreplaceable. But in a world that optimizes for output, humanity is becoming a luxury. Here's the bitter pill. If intelligence is defined by how quickly something can learn, adapt, and produce, we're not at the top anymore. AI doesn't need 10,000 hours to master something. It needs a GPU cluster and permission to run. You take a gap year. It takes a weekend and builds 3 tools while benchmarking its own progress. So we need to redefine what it means to matter. Because if we measure value the old way, productivity, speed, optimization, we lose. Hands down, every time. But if we shift the lens toward meaning, presence, ethics, experience, beauty, absurdity, paradox, we might still have a shot. Not at outcompeting AI, but at doing the one thing it can't. Be deeply, wonderfully, gloriously human in a world that forgets what that looks like. Maybe our role isn't to stay relevant. Maybe it's to become more real. In a world where machines write perfect essays, maybe the messy, clumsy, emotional human essay becomes valuable again. In a world of synthetic art, maybe the imperfect, handmade sketch has soul. In a world of hyper-productivity, maybe a slow cup of coffee with another person is the rebellion. Because here's the twist. When everything becomes automatable, the unautomatable becomes sacred. We're not out of the game, but the game has changed. The scoreboard isn't measuring output anymore. It's measuring consciousness, presence, why we create, not just what we create. So know your job may not survive, but your humanity might. And that, strangely enough, may be the only reason we matter at all. We used to laugh when AI painted. We rolled our eyes when it wrote poetry, cringed when it told jokes, sighed when it played music, and scoffed when someone said, "One day it'll lead companies." Now, it's writing award-winning ads, composing soundtracks, designing brands, building products, running operations. And yes, it's already CEO at multiple startups. So if you're still laughing, make sure it's not nervous laughter. Because the line between parody and prophecy, that line vanished 5 upgrades ago. Here's the truth. AI doesn't hate you. It doesn't love you either. It simply doesn't care. It doesn't need validation, or meaning, or purpose. It just performs. That's why the question isn't, how do we stop AI? The real question is, how do we stay human in a world where performance is no longer uniquely ours? Because you won't win by competing on speed, or memory, or output. You win by collaborating with what you can't fully understand, and letting that tension between logic and soul create something neither could make alone. So here's your final CTA, no gimmicks. Don't wait until your job becomes an API call. Don't wait for your identity to be outdated. Don't wait to be replaced by something you refuse to learn about. Start today. Get curious. Build alongside the machine. Or better, build something it never will understand. Wonder, art, connection, mystery. Because AI is moving fast. But you're still alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's your advantage. If this made you laugh, think, or even squirm a little good, that means you're still human. Hit subscribe, because this won't be the last rabbit hole. And next time, bring your questions, because the machines already have answers. Watching till the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to DT Synapse Zero for more exciting content.